In this video, I'm going to be showing you my top 2 favorite TikTok ads testing strategies for brand new e-com stores or dropshipping stores, whatever you want to call them. I haven't made a full-on YouTube video in a long time. I've mainly just been grinding TikTok, but creating content on there is pretty boring, and there's only so much you could do in like a vertical format, short form platform if you actually want the video to do well. Even though I'm in the middle of revamping my 6-hour free dropshipping course, this information will be included in there. Honestly, I should probably just be recording that, but you know, I'm pretty bored. It's a snowy day here. There's really not much to do. So, but honestly, these testing strategies are quite simple. You've probably heard them regurgitated like 50 times, but either way, I'm just gonna kind of run you through them. But also, before we get into that, I'm gonna be showing you some examples of some stores and ad accounts that are using this testing strategy right now within like the past 2 weeks, just to show you that yeah, like this thing works. So as you can see, this store launched on December 29th. As you can see, we spent 6,907 CAD for 20,000 USD. And if we actually do the conversion rate, 6,907 Canadian dollars is around 5,114 USD. So it's about a 4 ROAS. Then we also have this ad account where we literally just tested. I don't want to run this on Shopify payments, which is why we've kind of stopped pumping volume. But spent 408 for 1350. Return isn't as good. Honestly, the margins on this are probably 20 to maybe even 15%. And as you can see on this store, we spent $3,400. This is in USD for $1,200. This store is doing really, really good. As you can see, I think a couple of days ago, we just hit our first 4K day, which is pretty cool. I mean, this one's scaling pretty aggressively, but this technically isn't even my store. Honestly, it's technically just like a friend that, you know, I've known for like 7 years. I used to be heavily into like the YouTube Call of Duty space. So this is like one of those guys, one of those old buddies that I've known for a very long time. And then this is technically another one of those kind of like weird client stores, but also it's just like a friend. So like we've spent 5,000 USD for 18,000 in USD, which is a pretty good return as well. Now, last thing before we actually dive into the TikTok ads testing strategy, I know a lot of you guys are probably aware of this by now because of all the affiliates promoting this offer. The reason we were able to scale those stores to such good numbers within the past couple of weeks is mainly because TikTok has been giving out, you know, $1,500 of free ad credits for every brand new account that you create. And they were supposed to finish this offer nearly a month ago on December 31st, but for whatever reason, it's still up. But that's why those ad accounts were able to scale up so fast, because we weren't really worried about like payment holds on using Shopify payments, especially when $1,500 of that ad spend wasn't even coming out of pocket. So now that you've seen that, yeah, this testing strategy pretty much works, let me kind of show you how to set it up. And there's actually 2 different ones that quite honestly are better off being run alongside each other, but you can kind of alternate between the 2. Right now, what I'm doing is I'm pretty much testing with an ABO setup and then a CBO setup alongside each other. Obviously, you know, the minimum budget you can kind of set up for an ABO campaign in order for it to do well is around $100, whereas CBO is $50, but essentially, you know, I just try to do $100 just to give it an even test. So this is an old ad account from like years ago that I'm just going to be showing you guys this on. So don't take any of these products that you see on here as winners. Like, as you can see, this was launched in 2021, so got to spend it like literally 5 days in. We have the classic portable blender and oil diffuser test. These days, I'd never tell you to run these products, so definitely do not steal the creatives that you see in this video. So first testing campaign is going to be the CBO campaign, right? So we're just going to go here. We're going to click create. You know, you probably should know how to create a TikTok ads campaign at this point, but if you don't, then you know, you don't. So, you know, usually I'll click don't show this again, and you want to do advanced creation. But first things first, for advertising objective, we're almost always selecting website conversions if it's like an ad for a website, right? If you're running a TikTok shop ad, you're going to want to do product sales, which is another kind of little avenue I'm working on right now. It's just running TikTok shop ads for, you know, other people's TikTok shops. But we have campaign names. So honestly, you know, you could just name this CBO #1 - test, or, you know, whatever is going to keep you organized. For the campaign budget, you know, I used to just test with like $50, but nowadays I'm testing $100 per product. Honestly, it's mainly just because I can. I do kind of notice performance is better when you test with $100, but I'm sure you can probably get away with just $50. Usually, you know, I just keep the ad group name basic. It really does not matter whatsoever. I mean, maybe if you're running different interests or whatever, select your pixel. If you haven't already made your pixel, you could just come here, click create new, and then come back to this screen and click refresh. For optimization event, we're almost always selecting complete payment. There are some cases where I noticed like initiated checkout or add to cart actually generated more sales for cheaper, but 9 times out of 10, you know, I'm just running complete payment. I'll usually select placement, obviously remove Pangle, global app bundle, turn off user comments, video download, and also I turn off video sharing, because if you go to TikTok right now and you share a video ad to say your friend, right? you're gonna notice when you go back and you click the link that you actually shared, there's no actual way to get to a website from a shared ad. It's just like a feature that really just doesn't do anything for you. I'm just pausing for a second because while editing and reflecting on what I just said, a part of me feels like, yeah, video sharing actually would help your ad because TikTok sees your ad getting shared, which is obviously a plus from the organic algorithm side of things. Like for example, when you remove user comment from your actual placements, it says like, hey, like your ad might not get as much reach in the algorithm. So maybe video sharing does help. I haven't tested it. I don't really know. So you can kind of test it yourself. Now, as for location, I'm always running US, Canada, but if you do have the option to select, say, United Kingdom, Australia, New Zealand, you're going to want to include those in the mix. And then obviously make sure that your global markets are set up in your Shopify settings. As for age and gender, usually I'm just keeping it at all, but there are some industries I'll say where, you know, if you're running 13 plus, you get a lot of transactions that are declining for insufficient funds. I don't know why, like we're pretty clear with our pricing. It's all front end with like $4 shipping back end. So if you notice that as an issue, just run 18 plus. As for languages, you know, all of my ads are in English, so I always filter by English. Everything else here, you can just kind of leave blank, doesn't really matter. I'm always scheduling my ads for pretty much 0000 the next day, which is just AKA 12 a.m. Always make sure your optimization goal is set for conversion. And when you are testing, make sure it's maximum delivery. Then from here, you're just gonna wanna click next. Now, when it comes to actually running your creatives and such, just click Smart Creative Ads. You're gonna want ideally 3 to 5 creatives. So let me just import them here. Again, this is not a winning product. None of these creatives are actually solid. I mean, we did get actually a few sales of the Spirit Bracelet. I'm sure there's room to make money, but for the most part, yeah. Now, since I'm running Smart Creative Ads, you can use up to 5 different ad texts. But also, since our budget is only $100, I almost always only run 1 ad text, because if you run 5, you know, you're essentially 5xing your ad variance, spreading your spend way too thin. So just only use 1 ad text. Like usually I'll just do something like swipe left to order now, or, you know, something a little bit more descriptive. But something also that I've noticed is the swipe left call to action isn't working as well as it was at the very beginning of this year, mainly because TikTok has now started showing ads on the following feed. So you have your For You feed, you have your TikTok shop feed, and you have your following feed, right? And when they swipe left on this following feed, they just get brought to the TikTok shop. Whereas if they swipe left on the For You page, there's no other feed for them to swipe to, so it brings them to your website. That's just kind of something to consider. So if you're noticing that this isn't really working, you could just, you know, do click shop now to order now or something along those lines. And obviously if you're saying that, you have to edit your call to action to standard and do just shop now. Now, as for the link, ignore that link. I don't even know if this website is still up. So I'm just gonna go ahead, click submit. You're pretty much done with the actual basic setup of this ad campaign. All we need to do is just duplicate our ad groups in here 4 times. So it's gonna bring you to this screen. All you're gonna do is just kind of open up your ad campaign, click copy, and duplicate it 4 times, and everything is already pre-set up. TikTok finally updated it, so now essentially your schedule kind of carries over to each individual ad group, which was nice. TikTok is a very clunky ad platform, I have to say. It's very annoying, very slow, so don't get discouraged if your loading time is really slow. But all you're gonna wanna do from here is just click continue to ads. Make sure obviously that your schedule is set up correctly, because sometimes it doesn't carry over for some reason and sometimes it does. I think it honestly depends on the ad account, but it's not something I paid super close attention to. I just always make sure that it's set up correctly. And then another thing that doesn't always carry over is if you're doing click shop now. As you can see, our call to action didn't carry over. So just make sure on all your ad groups that your call to action does carry over if you're running a click shop now ad tech. And from here, you're just going to click publish, and essentially we're good to go with this CBO testing strategy. You're going to want to let this run out entirely for the first day, 24 hours, give it from 12 a.m. to 12 a.m. I know a lot of people, you like to cut off ads at $20, $25. And honestly, up until like midway through 2023, that's what I would do as well, especially when testing. But nowadays I'm noticing like most sales are coming a little bit after you schedule your ad campaign and let it spend a little bit. Now, like I said, there is a second ad strategy that I do want to show you guys. But for the best and optimal results, to know what actually is going to work, it's honestly better to run these both alongside each other. So this is a CBO campaign, and now we're going to move on to essentially an ABO campaign. So it's pretty much the same setup, except you're just not selecting campaign budget optimization here. We're going to call this ABO #1 test. Click continue. As I said before, you can kind of just keep your campaign name kind of basic, doesn't really matter. Select your pixel, complete payment, select placement, remove Pangle global app bundle, and remove all 3 of these advanced options here. Target, you know, US, Canada, and United Kingdom, Australia, New Zealand. If you have those options, this ad account doesn't have it. Then just filter by English, scroll down, make sure your daily budget is around $20. Honestly, for whatever reason, I've just been doing like $22 because I know some people, they like to do 20, 50 or 21. So like, I think like, oh, if those guys are doing that, I'm just gonna one up them by $1 as well. Essentially, these ad platforms are bidding platforms. There's a lot of superstition behind them, especially when it comes to me running your ads. So, but as usual, schedule your campaign for the next day at 0, because you want, you know, an even test here. Click next, turn on smart creative ads, upload 3 to 5 creatives. Obviously, let me just put in my, you know, half-assed ad text. I mean, realistically, these ads aren't going to be running. I'd definitely make this a lot better, you know, with capitalization and actually being proper. Make sure your call to action is standard and set to shop now. If your call to action or ad text is click shop now, if it's swipe left, it doesn't really matter. Make sure you have your ad or website link, my bad, and then just click submit. And then just like how we duplicated the CBO ad sets, we're going to be duplicating the ABO ad sets here. So once again, once you've kind of published your campaign and everything, you're going to be brought to this screen. Just open up ABO #1 test, click copy this 4 times, and boom, we are good to go. Make sure that your schedule kind of carries over on all campaigns because, you know, you never know with TikTok. Click continue to ads, and boom, from here, you know, last but not least, just make sure your call to action carried over. And once again, it did not on this account. So we're gonna have to go back and manually change all of our call to actions again. I'm only gonna do 2 because obviously these campaigns aren't gonna be running. I'm gonna delete these as soon as this video is over. So just click publish from here, and essentially we are good to go. These are my top 2 favorite TikTok ad testing strategies that I've been using. Like I said in the beginning of this video, or somewhere around the middle, it's honestly better to have these run alongside each other because some ad accounts for whatever reason will perform better with a CBO and some will just perform better with an ABO. But if you don't have the money to spend $200 per product test, no, just go with one and, you know, test one product with a CBO and test your next product with an ABO, and make sure you obviously are switching out your pixels for each product test. But yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it. If anyone has any questions, be sure to comment them down below. I'll get back to everyone. This is my first YouTube video in like 2-3 years on this channel, so